Hi, I'm Nisha DeGaring, host of Good Things Utah, and I've been a longtime supporter of Todd's Beliefcast. I hope you find inspiration in the courageous stories shared by the amazing people Todd features on his show. The guests serve as shoulders for us to stand on, allowing us to see a little further and cultivate belief in oneself. Remember, you have the dignity and power to change. I encourage you to keep striving and believing in yourself. Enjoy today's podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Todd Sylvester with the Todd Inspires Beliefcast. As always, thank you for tuning in. It means the world that you guys believe in what I'm doing here. Without you, we wouldn't be as successful. I'm telling you, we're saving lives. We're making a difference, and it's because of you, and it's because of these amazing people that I bring on, and today's going to be no different. Today on my show, we welcome a man who has literally redefined the word impossible. Jeff Griffin, known around the world as Griff, if you're his friend and I'm his friend. In 2004, he's the Paralympic silver medalist in wheelchair basketball, a national champion in the wheelchair NBA, a four-time All-Star MVP, a two-time Guinness World Record holder, award-winning author, a creator of leadership program recognized at the United Nations. I got to share the stage with Griff a few weeks ago, and it was fantastic. And Griff brought the house down, guys. It was unbelievable what he did, and it, not only just his words, but his actions as well. But beyond the medals, records, and accolades, Griff is a belief builder. He teaches one transformational truth. The only thing standing between you and your breakthrough is the story you're telling yourself, something I really relate to. So buckle up today, guys. The conversation is going to challenge your excuses, ignite your vision, and remind you that what you thought looked impossible is often just waiting for belief. So, Griff, honored to have you on the show today.
Thank you. I couldn't have said it better. I'm like, man, I want to meet this person.
Right? Like, who is this guy?
Yeah, who is this guy? I'm like, wait a minute. That doesn't sound like me, but thank you.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Absolutely. And it really was an honor to share the stage with you. That's where we initially met. I had followed you before that, and I knew obviously about you, but to be able to be there with you firsthand and to see what you do and the way you commanded the room, it was truly an honor. So again, I was so grateful when I said, hey, will you be on my show today? And you said, absolutely. And I have to say, today's your birthday.
It is my birthday.
So happy birthday.
Thank you very much. I'm telling you right now that the world is blessed to have me in it. But more importantly, the world is blessed to have you, whoever's listening to this.
Yeah.
The world needs you. And if there's anything that I can share throughout our conversation, is that the world needs you.
Wow.
The world needs each and every one of us. The world needs to hear that song that sings inside our souls, that sings inside of your soul. The world needs to hear that music that can only be played by the person who's listening to this.
Dang, I love that. Well, and you had a challenge for your birthday. You wanted people to do what?
So for my birthday, right, I'm like, I don't want presents. Well, I do like presents. You can send me gifts too. I'll take presents. Okay. But I'm like, what can I do a little bit different? Because it's like, all right, well, I have been honored as American Cancer Society's Tastemaker Ambassador.
Wow.
So what that means is, what they're doing this year is their campaign is we're going to fork cancer. F-O-R-K.
Yeah, I like
that. I want to make sure that people understand that we're forking cancer instead of the other. And so with this idea with tasting and whatnot, so I'm like, well, what can I do to really help this cause out? I had two sisters that have had breast cancer. Wow. And they had to, have surgery with that and go through all that. And it was, as a bystander and looking at that, I'm like, this is miserable. We've got to do something to cure this and whatnot. My dad experienced prostate cancer as well. And so I'm like, what can I give or what can other people give to me for my birthday? And I'm like, hey, listen, why don't you donate to the American Cancer Society? The link, donate from the link that I don't know if it's in this. I don't know if I can give it to you or if they can have access to it or if it's going to be done by the time it's over. But that's what I want to have happen is to help individuals out there on my birthday.
Okay, we'll put the link in there. It might be a few days, obviously, from now. But I want you to know I took your challenge and I donated.
Thank you.
In your honor and in your family and everything else. And I had a sister who passed away from MS, a little different, but I understand, doing something for a cause, especially when it, draws really close to home. So respect what you do, man. I'm so glad to be a part of that. So
Thank
thanks
you.
for sharing
And
that.
the campaign goes till August. So
Oh, perfect.
I don't.
Yeah, we'll have plenty of time.
Hopefully there's plenty of time. So you can't use that as an excuse, but go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that like button before you go and hit the link button to go donate to the American Cancer Society.
Gotcha. We'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you have an amazing story and an amazing life, honestly, but it didn't, come from just the ease of life. You have been through a lot, obviously.
Yeah.
A lot of people do know your story, but there's probably a lot of people who don't know your story.
Yeah.
So if you don't mind, maybe just share a little bit about where you grew up and, you're sitting with me here in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And, but you would never know in a million years, like you're one of the most positive guys. Like the whole night, that night we shared the stage, dude, you made me feel like $1 million the entire night. I kept going, it almost like, dude, quit making me feel so good. And I think a lot of people would say the same thing about you. So, but if you wouldn't mind, share a little bit about your childhood and then kind of, what led to this, at the time, maybe a tragic event that you went through.
Yeah, it was. And I grew up in Cache Valley, God's country. I know I offend the rest of the listeners and everyone else who's out there. Like, wait a minute,
Hey.
What about my place? And if they understood the concept, wherever you grew up is God's country.
For sure.
And I didn't know I had it so good. It was such an idealistic, childhood. My mom, she was born in between the Great Depression and World War II. Didn't see a balloon until she was 13 years old. And so she learned her life lessons on a farm up in northern Utah, knee deep in cow poop.
Yeah.
And so I was fortunate enough to have a mother who was really concerned about my upbringing, was concerned about who I needed to be and whatnot. So she taught me life lessons, not necessarily in, knee deep of cow poop.
Right.
But eventually what happened here is, I found myself in a situation where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that my mom taught me some of these principles that I had to implement. I remember one time that I went into her office at 10 years old and she said, on her computer, there was a little Post-it note. And on it said, trials are like manure. They sure do stink, but they certainly help things to grow. And I'm like, okay, I get that. And so my mom understood the concept of what manure does for a crop and for the yield and whatnot. You go put it on the field and you get more yield to your crop. But for my 10-year-old brain, I'm always wanting to simplify things. And so I'm like, that's my mom saying. I'm like, how can I fit this in my life? And I'm like, yeah, that's right. I'm like, how can you turn your crap into a crop?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
all right. And so those little things along the way, just kind of like, were planted in my soul. And if I were to write a biography, I would, the title would be My Mother's Son.
Really?
That's how much of an impact she had on me, and
that says a lot.
Which helped me later on in my life. But everyone always says that they grew up poor.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been around the world. Even the poorest of the poor here in the United States is pretty wealthy.
Sure,
is pretty wealthy. But I think I have a measurement on, how poor somebody in the U.S. can be. Yeah. And so I always ask people when they say, "Yeah, I grew up poor." I'm like, "Well, did you have a communal underwear drawer?" Because I had an older brother and a younger brother, and we had to share the underwear. And so sometimes it was loose, sometimes it was tight, and other times it fit just right.
Yeah, that would be someone who's poor, I would imagine, sharing underwear.
But I didn't know it.
Yeah.
I didn't know
You didn't know any different.
No, I had no clue. My dad worked 3 jobs while my mom stayed home and raised 8 kids, and I was lost in the middle of, I was the 5th out of 8, and after we did chores, fortunately we didn't live on a farm like my mom did, but we had a half-acre garden, and we had to work in that, and we had to work until noon before we could go out and play. But once lunch was over, I just went out and explored. and just lived life to the fullest. And I stayed out and played until, I could, the way my mom got us back to the dinner table was she yelled and her voice could carry. And we came scurrying back absolutely. And so it was, I'm telling you, I really, really enjoyed my life. I had no clue how poor we were because of the other things that my mom and dad and my family brought to the experience. And I realized that some people don't even have that experience. They don't even have two parents. They don't, and some of them don't even have parents at all. Yeah. And so I'm like, man, how did you guys get through that? But I was just, I loved my upbringing. I love where I grew up.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's amazing. I could ask you, what have you learned from your mom and your parents? And I mean, the list will go on and on and on. And I think we'll get into some of that because, as life went on, you did your thing, but then you had something tragic happen to you, which at the time, who knows what you were thinking, but obviously turn things upside down in your world.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
So if you'll share that with us.
So as a child, growing up, my dream, because I'm gonna backtrack a little bit here because we all have problems. I didn't realize some of the problems I had until later on. We become aware of these things and whatnot. We all have problems. The problem isn't the problem because you have problems. I have problems. The listeners who are listening to this have problems, and sometimes we focus on that problem. We define the problem and we just sit on that problem. We just wallow in it. Yeah. When in reality, we need to flip the switch and reframe things and focus on the solution. Because I believe that there's every problem under the sun has a solution or it has none. If there be one, hurry and find it. If there be none, never mind it. And so that's one thing that my mom taught me. And so one thing that I've learned and discovered throughout my childhood and this tragedy that I experienced later on in my my adulthood is that there's some gold nuggets. There's some things that if we create and put as a foundation, can help us with our problems, can help us find those solutions. Right. And one of those, I call them 3 Ds. Okay. The gold nuggets. One of the D's is dream, to where you're you've got to dream. You got to give your heart a reason to beat. Right. And how many of us are barely breathing and calling it a life? For sure. When we should be living a life that takes our breath away. Yeah. And so for me, as a little kid, that was my dream was to play on the big stage. I grew up in Cache Valley, but I wanted to play at BYU down south, where I grew up in a place where they breed them to hate them. But I'm like, I'm a receiver. And I'm like, I totally want to play on the big stage. And I loved it. It was the song that sang to my soul. It was the dream that I saw. I played it in the springtime. I played it in the summertime. I played it in the wintertime. And on Sundays, when my mom wouldn't let me play it outside, I'd go to the basement. And I'd throw the ball as close to the ceiling, and I played it in my mind. And I would dream about making catch after catch after catch from the next All-American quarterback at BYU. And so, I believe that a dream is essential for all of us. We got to know where we want to go. We got to know the direction we're going. And unfortunately, most of us don't know how to do that. Yeah. We don't know how to dream. We don't know how to come up with that vision. We don't know I call it dream weaving. So we have a technique that allows people to pull that out of them subconsciously to where it's a visceral experience where it's like, ooh, yes, that's exactly what I want. Yeah. That's exactly. And unfortunately, life has kind of snuffed that out of us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've stopped listening to the music that's inside our soul. For sure. And I see it a lot with my clients. I work with a lot of younger kids in junior high and high school. And again, I don't want to use this as every excuse why things are bad. It's social media, but there's so much truth to it too. They are so locked into that they don't spend time daydreaming. Mm-hmm. They like you're in your room throwing up the ball, catching, visualizing that you are catching touchdowns and things like that. I mean, I agree with you. I don't see that so much with these kids nowadays. Yeah. And so I always invite people. I'm like, hey, listen, slow down. Slow down and revisit those dreams. Slow down and listen to the music that's singing inside your soul. Yeah. And when's the last time you allowed yourself to dream? And I'm not talking about what your dreams at night. I'm talking about the dreams that you had as a little kid, the dreams that you had where you're like, I'm going to go conquer this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to climb this mountain. I'm going to become, all these things. And, when are you going to start weaving that tapestry of dreams that's going to hang on somebody else's social media wall? Like you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
These kids are like,
Yeah.
they're on somebody else's social media wall, and they're just looking at everything that they're doing, when they're like, you know what? You should be creating
Yes.
a tapestry of your own dreams and your own desires.
Yeah.
And so this is this
love
idea,
that.
this idea of dreaming. And so that was my dream, was to play football in college. And I when I was younger, somebody asked me in high school what my dream was, and I had the courage and told them. But unfortunately, they gave me all the reasons why I couldn't. And they laughed at me.
Dream killers.
Dream killers.
Yeah.
You're right. I know it's the wrong term. I call them Death Eaters. It's the Harry Potter term, the Death Eaters. They just suck the soul out of you. They suck the dream out of you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. And so, but they gave me all the reasons why I couldn't play football in college. And fortunately for me, I was young enough and dumb enough and naive enough to not realize that other people place our possibilities on their limitations.
Yeah.
And they give us all the reasons why they think they can't do it.
Oof. Wow.
And
That's powerful.
Yeah, and if we're not in control of our thoughts and in control of, the master of our ship, then eventually we're going to let other people dictate what we do.
Yeah.
Because if George Bernard Shaw is accurate, he said that 2% of the population think, 3% of the population think they think, and 95% of the population would rather die than think.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to continue to chase down that dream. And one day after practice, I came home and there was a letter from the school that I wanted to go to, just to make sure I wasn't dreaming. I touched the embossed helmet. And I'm like, pulled out the letter, and there was a letter addressed to me, the short, slow white guy, to go play at BYU for the legendary Hall of Fame coach LaBelle Edwards. And I'm like, wow. How did I get here? How did I do this? And so because I had been told I can't so many times, I thought he was giving this letter to everybody. So I took it to practice, and I'm asking my teammates, I'm like, hey, did you guys get this? They thought I was rubbing it in their faces. They tried to take me out of practice that day. But I got to taste the sweetness of success and experience what it would be like to be on the first team, to be on the field, to be on the big stage.
Yeah.
Not just in the stadium, not just in the stands, or just watching it from your couch. I got to experience what it would be like
in the arena,
on the field. Yeah. You smell things different. You see things different. Sure. You talk trash to the other person who's not your teammate different.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I'm like,
Man.
yes, this is one step closer to fulfilling my dream of playing on the big stage, not just experiencing 2 plays. I just got to experience 2 plays and taste the sweetness of success, and
wow.
And then tragedy struck.
Yeah.
In between season.
Wow. Well, again, I can imagine it's funny how, like, even when you got the letter, you were still in your head doubting it a little bit, or maybe a lot. Like, man, okay, this must be a standard letter, But once you started to realize, no, this was real. I mean, did your mind go back to when you were visualizing, like, catching that ball in your room? And I don't know, did you say, man, this is how it happened because I stuck with this dream?
Yeah.
I kept dreaming it.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I love that question because here's what happened to me. Because I go around the world and I tell people to, the 3 Ds. And, the last D is to do. And the first one is to dream. And then we'll get to the second one as well. And so, Nike says, just do it.
Uh-huh.
And so, I take the first D and the first O of don't, and the last I and T of don't quit, and have just do it with the don't quit in there.
Yeah.
And I go around and tell people not to quit. But here's the reality, Todd. I showed up to practice my freshman year. And those demons of doubt, fear, and complacency crept in.
Yeah.
Because passes that I typically caught, I dropped. Routes I ran with Christmas, I stumbled and fell. Teammates that were once encouraging me were now discouraging me. And all those years of everybody telling me that I couldn't do this started to just come back and tumble in. And it was just overwhelming. And I thought it was more than I could handle. And I quit. I quit on my dreams. I quit before I even tasted the sweetness of success. And to make matters worse, I called my parents up and told them I was cut.
So you didn't tell them the truth.
I lied to them. And it makes me feel uncomfortable to this day, but it was a lesson of a lifetime. And this experience, I believe, helped me with the experience that I was going to experience in between those seasons, where I found myself next to this unpainted barn, paralyzed, broken, battered. And I'm like, okay, this is one of the most difficult challenges that I'm going to experience in my life. Now what? Looking back, I'm like, I could see this as a blessing, but at the time I was so embarrassed.
Yeah.
I was so embarrassed that I'm like, that I had chased after my dream. I had received an invitation to go play for him. I get there and I quit.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, I lied. I lied to myself. I lied to my parents.
Yep.
And I learned this lesson of a lifetime. And this lesson is when our dreams and desires do not match up and are deliberate, we allow those demons of doubt, fear, and complacency to constantly creep in to where we eventually quit.
Yeah.
To quit on our dreams, to quit on our jobs, to quit on our friends, to quit on our families, and worse yet, to quit on ourselves.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You never would have dreamed that up in a million years that you would quit.
Right.
Right? But yet that tells you how powerful thoughts are. It tells you how powerful if you allow the thoughts to ruminate. I mean, I know this, thoughts can destroy us or they can set us free.
Yeah.
And what was happening is those thoughts were ruminating in such a way that you got to a point where you're like, you almost justified it in your mind. Well, I can just quit.
Right.
I'm done. Wow.
And there was outside evidence, proving my thoughts.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
My teammates like, Griff, you are so slow. You shouldn't even be here. Griff, why? It was a wide open pass. Why did you drop that? And anyways, it was amazing how fast and how quick I stumbled and went to that place where I'm like, okay, it'd be easier for me just to quit. But fortunately for me, when I went and told the coach what I was doing, he's like, well, you plan on going on a mission? I'm like, yeah. He's like, when you come back, you can try out again. You can come again. So he gave me an opening. So I left for 2 years and I learned what I call the possibility principle, the P squared mindset. This mindset that allows you to deal with those demons that we're all faced with.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And so, that P squared mindset is so powerful. And I learned to develop it when I went out there serving the people of Spain for 2 years. And I learned what adversity really looked like. And I learned what, how to deal with challenges.
Yeah.
And then not only did I learn how to do that personally, but I was able to develop a process that other people could repeat and develop.
Yeah.
Because so many people don't think that they can develop this desire or develop this attitude. Because, Todd, I wasn't always this positive.
Yeah.
I wasn't always this optimistic. But combined with that experience, that was a catalyst for the rest of my life. And then having the opportunity to practice and develop something and to prove myself worthy. Well, I shouldn't say prove myself worthy, but just prove myself that I could do this. And so when I came back, that's when I was able to go back, made the team, experienced those 2 downs, and got to taste the sweetness of success. I got to experience. I still had those same opposition. Sure. I had teammates who were still telling me, "Hey, Griff, you shouldn't be here." Yeah. I'm like, "You just want my place." And the thing is I learned how to flip the switch and reframe things. I learned how to do the things that the P squared mindset, allows you to do and comes with. And so, anyway, I want to give your listeners that possibility principle. I'm going to send you that link so that they can log into it.
I would love that. And they would love that for sure.
If they go to my website, griffmotivation.com, go to the shop and they go to the possibility principle and put in the coupon code P2, they can get that for free. And it's a simple but powerful process that is the footings of the foundation. That P squared mindset is the footings where where those 3Ds sit on. And it's just you get that and you're going to get life.
Yeah.
And there's 5 wonderful blessings that come along that comes with that P squared mindset. And I just want to share with you a few of them. First one is it teaches you how to develop a desire that matches up with your dreams. Because how many of us have conflicting desires?
Oh yeah. All day, every day. We all struggle with that.
You know, when I was chasing after this dream to play football in college, I'm like, I want to get bigger, faster, stronger. I'm like, so I went and worked out for 2 days. And I quit after 2 days. I'm like, okay, next year. And I'm like, next year, I'm like, if I want to be bigger, faster, stronger, I'm going to have to work out. So I did more than 2 days. I did 2 weeks and then stopped working out. And then the next year, I'm like, if I want to get bigger, faster, stronger, I got to work out. And so I went 2 months instead of 2 weeks. And so anyways, I was getting better and better. But, you know, there was conflicting desires where you're like, I want to get into shape. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, maybe tomorrow. But how many of us experience empty yesterdays because we put off today?
All the time. Happens all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if we put off today what we can do tomorrow, there's going to be a bunch of empty yesterdays.
Yeah.
And so the idea is like, okay, well, how do I develop that P squared mindset? How do I develop that desire that matches up with my dreams? Because once that happens, boom, the floodgates of imagination open up and the floodgates just open up and your dreams just start coming to you. And once you have your dream, instead of being dragged and pushed to the destination, you're being beckoned and called to where it's just like, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to let anything keep me from getting there.
Wow. I love that. You know, so you have this accident, you're paralyzed. You go from this active, you know, person who was living his dream. This happens. And I know there's a lot in between here. I know that, but how did you go from going, I'm just going to survive this difficult thing versus, no, I'm going to figure out what is possible here. How did you navigate those waters at that time?
100%. And as I was talking to you about that, the P squared mindset, that process and that tool that I developed those 2 years, I needed to put into practice and into play when I found myself in that sauna of self-pity that I entered into, because I fell 40 feet from some scaffolding. In between seasons, I started my own business, and business was booming, and got a job in Napoleon Dynamite country across the border in Idaho, from where I'm from in Preston, Idaho. And I'm like, okay, this is great. This is awesome. 3 days later, $3,000 richer, I'd be able to, go focus on my dream at playing football and purchase a bullet bike, because every time I saw a guy on a bullet bike, there was a girl on back.
Right.
And I'm like, I really didn't want the bike. I just wanted the ladies. So I thought that's what it would help me with.
Yeah.
So I get there. I'm up on some scaffolding, on some ladder. It tips over on me. I come down, fell 40 feet, broke my back. Didn't know it at the time, but I broke my back. And I found myself next to an unpainted barn in the fields of Napoleon Dynamite country there in Preston, Idaho. And my identity of being physical, being able to run, being able to jump, being able to catch, everything that I had been chasing after all these years, I chased after it. I got there. I quit. I came back. I was determined to not let that happen again. And I experienced what it would be like to be on the stage, and then to have that taken out from underneath me was just the most difficult thing I've ever experienced in my life. I was turned upside down on my head. My identity was just stripped from me. And I entered that sauna of self-pity, where I was wallowing around in that syrupy, sticky sauna of self-pity that a lot of us experience.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible place to be in, especially alone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when we're hurt, we want to be left alone. And that's the worst thing that could happen for us, is to be left alone, because we could hurt ourselves. We could do some damage, do some damage up here in our mind, do some damage on our bodies, do some damage elsewhere. And but I just want to be left alone, because I was in a dark place.
Man.
And so the answer to your question was this. They stopped feeding me in the hospital, at least in my bed. I could go eat at the cafeteria.
Oh. Okay.
And so it took me a half an hour to get my body brace on. It took 2 nurses to get me into my wheelchair. And everything I used to be able to do with ease and quickness was struggle and difficulty. And I'm rolling down the sterile halls of the hospital. Tears are appearing and cresting over my eyes and running down my cheeks. And I'm just having the worst day ever. I was I was focusing on all the things that I couldn't do. Griff, you can't do this, you can't do that. And again, all those things, Griff, you can't. The floodgates of, okay, you can't. And that word I can't is poisonous, it's debilitating, it's limiting, and we need to eliminate that from our vocabulary the best we can, because as soon as you tell yourself you can't, your mind accepts it, and it gives up all the opportunities to come up with a solution.
Yeah.
And so I'm rolling down the sterile halls of the hospital. I get to the cafeteria, I get my food, and I want to go to the corner of the cafeteria because I want to be left alone. Just leave me alone. I go to the corner of the cafeteria, I place the tray down, I'm flavoring my food with my tears, and I'm just sitting there, just feeling sorry for myself when this tray plops in front of me. And I look at the guy, and I was about to tell him to go take a hike because I just want to be left alone. Yeah. But this gentleman asked me a question that changed my life forever. The question that he asked me set me free from my prison.
Really?
The question that he asked me allowed me to exit that sauna of self-pity and let go of all the things that I couldn't do and start focusing on all the things that I could do. Wow. Now, here's the irony, Todd. I didn't know this at the time, but the guy sitting across from me was a prisoner from the point of the mountain. He was lifting weights in prison, had an aneurysm, paralyzed the right side of his body, so he's doing therapy at the hospital. So that's why he was there.
Okay.
He plops his tray down. He looks at me, and before I could tell him to go take a hike, he asked the question that set me free from my prison. And what this prisoner asked me was, "Why are you crying, dude?" I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Why are you crying, dude?" And I realized what he was asking me in a slurred speech, and what he was asking me was, "Why are you crying, dude?" That was like a 2x4 just being cracked on the side of my head. Like, wow. It hit me like no other question could have impacted my life. And it just snapped me out of my pity party. And I looked down the table, and down the table was a guy who was paralyzed from the neck down. He had a halo screwed to his skull. He couldn't even feed himself. And here I am. I can feed myself. I can hold my tray. Yeah. I can do all these things. And next to him was a guy who's paralyzed from the neck down, but he had some movement in his arm. They taped a fork to his finger and thumb, and he's attempting to feed himself. And by the time he gets the fork to his mouth, the morsels had fallen off, and he's struggling just to feed himself.
Yeah.
Why are you crying, dude?
Why are you crying, dude?
And ever since then, Todd, I focused on what I can do instead of what I can't do. And one thing that I could do at the time was, to pick myself up, dust myself off, and to dream new dreams. And one of those dreams was, I'm going to walk out of the hospital. I'm going to walk again. I'm going to walk and not faint. I'm going to run and not be weary. I'm going to have a full recovery. That was planted in my heart and my soul. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to walk out of the hospital. But I didn't.
You're right.
The first time I left the hospital, 2 months later, it took me 15 minutes to get from my chair into the van with the aid of a wooden plank. But what I did learn while I was at the hospital was what I could do is I could go out to the front of the hospital, take my Calvin and Hobbes book because I needed a little bit of humor.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, right.
I love that book. And awesome. I would go out there and I would read the book, and then I would exercise in my mind. Similar to when I was a young kid with football. Throwing the ball.
Yeah.
I sat out there and I envisioned myself lifting my legs, extending my legs, doing leg extensions, doing leg curls. I'd even envision myself walking down the street again. And I was doing it in such a way, envision it to the point where I was physically perspiring because I was trying to lift my legs in my mind.
Wow, that's some serious visualization right there. To the point where you're actually sweating.
Yeah,
that's powerful.
And I didn't know the techniques. I didn't know what was going on or whatnot, right? But here I am grunting, trying to do exercises. I'm judging people as they're coming into the hospital, trying to determine what their ailment is. I'm like, physical, mental, social, and here I am. I'm like grunting over there in the chair with my body brace, and people are looking and double taking, and they're like, mental. And but I've learned that some of the heaviest lifting is done between our ears.
Yeah.
And it's available to everybody.
Yeah.
But we don't utilize it. And that was the most powerful thing that has ever happened to me. I have not been back to that sauna of self-pity since.
It's amazing.
And yes, I have bad days. Yes, I have down days.
Yeah.
But they're not dark. They're not depressing. And I just continue to focus on what I can do instead of what I can't do.
Well, and I think what's so cool about that too is that led to what you do today. This is what you teach people.
Mm-hmm.
You not only teach people, and the reason why it comes across so well is because you live it. And I witnessed that at the event we were at when at the end of your speech, you stood up, blew my mind. I wasn't expecting that. And then you walked over towards us.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what in the heck did I just witness? I witnessed a miracle. And I think that's why people love you so much, Jeff, is because you're just not out there preaching a message for people, which is, again, we all need to hear some good things, but it's you back it up with the way you live your life, right? Would you say that's fair?
That is fair. And
again, you have your bad days, like you said,
Yeah.
you have your struggles, and that's the other thing. You're real about that. You don't try to pretend everything's just hunky dory and life's great. You have your moments,
Yeah, I do have my moments, and but what I've learned is, again, early on in life, my mom's like, trials are like manure. They certainly suck, but you can certainly allow them to bless your lives. And I've learned to turn my crap into a crop, and I call it flipping the switch and reframing things.
Yeah.
Flipping the switch and reframing things, because we all have that ability to look at things a little bit different.
Wow.
Somebody told me, like, hey, Griff, you are so tight, I could give you a nickel and you turn it into a quarter. And so I've learned how to flip the switch and reframe that. I'm like, that's good investing. Give me your nickels. Give me your nickels.
That is good.
And so, my wife is like, Griff, you think you're always right. I'm like, I'm not always right, but I wouldn't give you my opinion if I thought I was wrong. But, again, it's just how do you flip the switch and reframe things and see things in as an opportunity, instead of, I'm being screwed, I'm being hosed, I'm being taken advantage of, or whatever it might be, because we all have excuses.
Yeah.
And we all come up with those excuses, and we love those excuses because we're the builders of those excuses.
That one beautifully said, couldn't agree more. And I've got something I wanted to share with you, and it goes along. This is like perfect timing, honestly. I'm a reader, and people who know me, I love to read, and I'm a huge James Allen fan. I mean, James Allen wrote As a Man Thinketh.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got a book in front of me for those who can't see this, obviously. It's called Mind is the Master by James Allen. This is all of his writings into one book. Every book he's ever written is in this book I'm holding right now. I read it every single day as part of my, morning ritual, if you will. But I want to share a little paragraph with you based on what you just said, and I want you to give your insight on it.
Yeah,
is that
please.
cool?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's in the book titled Life's Turmoils, and the chapter is titled Your Mental Attitude. And here's what James Allen says. A man remains ignorant because he loves ignorance, and he chooses ignorant thoughts. A man becomes wise because he loves wisdom and chooses wise thoughts. No man is hindered by another. He is only hindered by himself. No man suffers because of another. He suffers only because of himself. By the noble gateway of pure thought, you can enter the highest heaven. By the ignoble doorway of impure thought, you can descend into the lowest hell.
Mm.
When I read that this morning, I'm like, I'm going to share this with Griff.
Mm.
Thoughts on that? What do you think?
100%, because that's the question that people are asking. Like, well, how can you be positive when you're a negative person? How can you find optimism when you're being pessimistic?
Yeah.
How can you motivate somebody when they don't want to be motivated? And, there might be some leaders out there like, well, how do I get my team to do things that they don't want to do?
Yeah.
It's, again, going back to this idea with these thoughts. And by the way, if you can't see that book, I'm looking at this book. It has 3 different types of tape on it. It's bound by duct tape, electrical tape, and Scotch tape. And you can tell that this thing has been used, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
And, the solution to pollution is dilution.
Mm.
If you don't like the stuff that's coming out, because when pressure is applied, whatever comes out is whatever's inside of us.
Yeah.
If you apply pressure to an orange juice comes out.
Yep.
If you apply pressure to an apple juice comes out. But if you apply pressure to a human juice comes out.
Yeah.
But what comes out of us is whatever we put in.
Yeah.
And so it begins with how we think.
I love what you're saying. So like as a human, if we look at it in that perspective, if I'm, say, constantly negative, and then the pressures of life even get me even more, and it's putting pressure on me, the negativity is going to magnify because that's what's inside of me. Is that
100%?
Yeah.
And we're going to see what we're thinking about.
Yeah. Okay.
We're going to see what we're thinking about. When I got hurt, I didn't realize how many people are in wheelchairs. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's another one. There's another one. And a lot of people don't realize, they invite me to do things with them, and all of a sudden they find out that it's not wheelchair accessible. Like, oh shoot, I didn't realize this. I didn't understand this. Or it's like a car that you want to purchase. You're like, no one has this car. And then you purchase it, you pull off the lot, and you're like, why is there so many people who have my car?
So true.
We're just unaware of it, right?
Yeah.
And so our thoughts, we're going to find evidence to prove our thoughts correct and right. And so at the same time, it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to look for the evidence that proves my thoughts. And my thoughts are, I'm going to walk again and not faint. I'm going to run and not be weary. I'm going to have a full recovery in a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the youngest trust manager that the bank hires. I'm going to, win this Guinness Book of World Record event that has just been presented in front of me. And what's interesting, the word attitude, I hope this is true. Somebody can correct me on it or not. But attitude, if you go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the alphabets, and you put A as 1, B as 2, C as 3, and you number the letters, attitude adds up to a 100%.
Wow.
So it's 100% attitude.
That's so amazing. I believe that. That's so powerful. You just mentioned it. You're in the Guinness Book of World Records. You've got some gold medals. You've done some amazing things. You've climbed some of the hardest things. You speak. You got your own business that's thriving. We go back though to when you quit. So, like you said, that was a defining moment as well. One, the guy, when he says, "Why are you crying, dude?" But it's almost like, had you not quit, who knows if this was the path you'd gone on? I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know, obviously.
Yeah.
But you said it was a defining moment. Like, it's almost like, I will never put myself through that again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think of that? Do you feel like that's like, now I will never quit on this or this?
Right.
Because of that.
100%. And sometimes people think that I'm over the top. Like, Griff, you got to know when to quit. You got to know when to, Kenny Rogers song, you got to know when to fold them.
Sure.
And I'm like, maybe. But here's what I've learned and discovered. When I hesitate to make a decision, more damage is done by doing nothing than by doing something.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go. I'm going to do it. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to see what's on the other side. I'm just going to take that step. But here's something that I've learned too, is that human nature is we try to accomplish and achieve our dreams and do whatever we decide all at once. And I think Confucius is the one who said that man cannot consume an elephant in one bite. And I'm like, who eats elephants?
Right.
But a man can't consume a cow in one bite, or a vegetarian can't consume the whole garden in one bite.
Right.
It's this idea of, okay, step by step by step. I'm just going to identify the destination.
Yeah.
This dream that I have, and I'm going to go in that direction. And I'm going to take every day as if this is my only day. And then I just micro wins lead to macro wins. And so I've learned that inch by inch is a cinch, yard by yard is hard. So do every mile with a smile.
Yeah, and you mentioned at the beginning of this how you like to simplify things, like your mom's saying, right, about manure. Talk about that real quick, if you wouldn't mind, about the power of simplicity, because I think that's powerful. I like to do that with my clients. Let's simplify this whole thing here, and I think that's one of the best compliments that I think you get from people is You make things so simple. So why is that? Why is simplicity so powerful?
Because if you can't understand it, you're not going to do it. And unfortunately, we reject what we don't understand, and we base our possibilities on what we know. There's the paradox.
Well said. Yeah.
And we're like, okay, well, what do I do here? I'm not going to act. I'm not going to move until I understand it. But you can't understand it unless you do it.
Yeah.
And so finding the simplicity on the far side of complexity, I call it finding the simplicity on the far side of complexity. And that is finding a process that works. But our problem is most of us have been sold on a process. We've been promised X, Y, and Z if we purchase A, B, and C.
Yeah.
So we purchase A, B, and C, and we end up with PDQ.
Yeah.
And so we don't believe the process. We don't believe that this really works. But sometimes that process requires time.
Yeah.
And we live in a society where it's just instant gratification.
Gotta
It's
have it
like
now.
gotta have it yesterday. Got to have it now. It's like, okay, yeah, you can look up on our phones a bunch of this, information, but I love what T.S. Eliot said that says, where has the wisdom that has been lost in knowledge? And where is the knowledge that has been lost in information?
Powerful. That's powerful.
So the simplicity is trusting the process.
Yeah.
It's the process that helps us progress, not the promise.
Yeah. And you call it the P squared. It's a very simple thing, right? It's simple, but yet the results, if you'll apply those things, will be very powerful in your life. And then you got the 3 Ds. Is it dream, desire, do? Did I say that right?
You did. You got it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I remember when you were talking about dreaming, I remember when I was a little kid, how fun that was. Like literally, think about it. We'd be in our backyard doing nothing, maybe digging a hole, climbing a tree, but just daydreaming. Like I used to daydream all the time too, but powerfully.
Yeah.
And that's really what led to me doing what I'm doing today as well. So I can relate with that on so many levels. My quote unquote handicap was my limiting beliefs I had about me, which led to drug addiction and alcoholism. And that was my, if you will, wheelchair. And I can't go do this, and this because look at me, I'm broken and damaged. And thankfully I had some smart people that showed me the way at the time.
Yeah.
That's why I love so much what you do. It's like you really do make the impossible possible. And I witnessed it when we were on stage together. It was so cool.
And here's what really gives me joy, Todd, is there's so many people. I may be physically paralyzed, but I've learned that most of us, if not all of us, are paralyzed from the demons of doubt, fear, and complacency.
100%, yeah.
You can see what's wrong with me. It's out there. There's a ton of people who are dealing with other types of disabilities that are paralyzing that can't be seen.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, and so they're able to get away from it. They're able to, not address it the same way that I had to address it. But I've learned that there is a process, there is a path, and there is a proven tool that's repeatable, predictable, and proven that that we can help people. Number one, identify their dream.
Yeah.
And number two, we can help people develop a desire that matches up with their dreams. And then we can give them some steps and some tools to help them go chase that dream, to help them cross that divide, to help them go and conduct and orchestrate the song that sings inside their soul and start dreaming again. Because once you start dreaming, you stop living in gray and you start living in 4K.
Yeah.
And things just become completely alive and new for you again.
That's amazing. I ask this question with all my guests because I think it's an important one, and I think a lot of people tune in for this very question. If there's someone tuning in right now listening to you, Jeff, who's in a dark place, they're struggling, they have their own mental handicaps or even physical handicaps, or they are just in a bad spot, what would you tell that person who's tuned in right now listening to your words?
First of all, I love you. I don't even know who you are, but I love you. And the Beatles got something right.
Yeah.
All we need is love. And unfortunately, we don't do that as much as we should.
Yeah.
And once you understand that you're loved, I want you to understand too that the world needs you. The world needs your love. The world needs your light, and the world needs your laughter. And so it's so hard to find that light in a world of darkness. It's so hard to find that love in a world of despair. And it's so hard to laugh when you just, you're surrounded in this world of discouragements and doubt. But what I've learned is you just need a little bit of light. And then it just expands and it dispels the darkness. And so I would just remind you that I love you, and the world needs to hear the song that sings inside your soul. The world needs you. They really do.
Wow. Well said, brother. Seriously. And I encourage people who are listening to this and just heard those powerful words, don't just listen to those words. Like you said, do something about it. And if anything, we've got some links that we're going to have. If people want to know more about what you're doing, Jeff, what's the best way for people to connect with you and maybe even reach out to you and use your program and use the tools that you've formulated over, your life experiences?
100%. The easiest and best way to reach out to me is griffinmotivation.com, Griffin, like the mythical beast. The beast that is half eagle, half lion. And I've been married to my wife 28 years, and she doesn't think I'm neither a beast nor mythical, but that's okay because I think I'm a beast. But it's Griffin, Griffin motivation. So griffinmotivation.com. My social handles are there. You can go to the contact. You can reach out to me. And by the way, if there are people who are still listening to this day, I wrote a book, and it's one of my greatest accomplishments because I got a D- in sixth grade. And again, I'm like, I tried to preach what I practice instead of practice what I preach. I do both. I do both. But I got a D- in sixth grade, and then my English teacher in high school was like, Griff, you'll never write a comprehensive sentence in your life. And then my freshman year in college, the first day, all that was validated when I wrote the paragraph. Day 2, they called 6 of us out of 300 to the back of the auditorium. I was one of the 6, and I go bounding back there. I'm like, what did I win? Yeah. And like, you on a date with a remedial English teacher. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, that's why you need it. And so this professor taught me how to get my thoughts onto some papers, into whatnot. And so written 2 books. And so if you're still listening and you really want to understand those small little invitations, those small little steps that everyone needs to take, you go and get my books. If you get more than 2, shipping is free. And just to add a little bit of love, if you enter the coupon code LOVE, LOVE, nice, we'll knock off 50%, and you can get a book that is the genesis of those 3 Ds. It's the genesis of this foundation that's allowed me not just to accomplish these things in my life, but to help other people duplicate it and accomplish those things in their life, because that's what really brings me joy and happiness, is to see people get out of their chair and take those steps and chase down their dreams. Yeah.
Dang, that's awesome. That sounds amazing. And if you remember what you started this all off with, you want people to walk away from this and hearing this and taking into their lives that you matter, that the world needs you. That's what you said. And me just sitting here with you today, I feel better just talking to you and hearing your words and listening to you. And I can't thank you enough. I mean, we could talk for a few more hours, honestly.
Todd, absolutely. I learned something from my 2-year-old son at the time. He's like, Dad, there's long hours and short hours. And I'm like, oh, that is so profound. I'm like, okay,
right.
What's a long hour? So I want to know what a long hour was to my son. And without hesitation, he's like, church. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So it wasn't fast hour. He's like, Pokemon. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense to a 2-year-old. By the way, Todd, this has been a short hour.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It went like that. But yeah, man, I'm just blessed to know you. Thanks for being here on your birthday.
Yes.
I mean, that makes me feel really special that you would actually take time on your birthday to spend some time with me and to my listeners and followers. And we're cranking. I mean, we've got some, mean, we're in the almost 700,000 range now, and I'm so grateful for those people who are listening, because I know there are people still listening right now. You stuck it out for this, hour with us, and I know you're better for it. Take this information and apply it to your life. Go do what he says. Dream, line it up with your desires, and go do those things. Again, we need it. The world needs to be a better place, and we need you to do those things. So, I don't know what else to say. The hardest part of these podcasts is I don't know how to end them. I really don't. What do we say? But thank you. 1,000 thank yous, to you and your example.
The gift was mine, Todd. When you reached out and asked me if I'd be willing to do that, I'm like, what? You had me at hello.
Yeah, you did say that.
You had me at hello. So it was an honor to be able to be on your platform. It's easy to look good on the shoulders of giants. Yeah. You are one of those giants in my eyes.
Thank you.
And I've learned that every great man and woman of history is a man of service. So thank you for being great.
Thank you. That means a lot. Well, there you go, folks. That would be a good place to end. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to my sponsors. Thank you for believing in me. That means the world. I love you guys so much. Please share this episode with your loved ones, your family. If you have a coworker, if you have a really good friend, or if you have a son or a daughter who is just in a bad place and you're not even sure what to talk to them about. Like, that's one of the hardest things sometimes as a parent. What do you say to your kid who's struggling? Let them listen to this episode, and I promise you, it'll give you go follow up with them, and you'll have several, aha moments with them because they listen to this, and it'll make the connection for you. So please do that. Love you guys. Until next time, everyone. Take care.